Hi, I'm Jason Gorber from thatshelf.com, and we're here to celebrate one of the greatest musical geniuses that has ever lived, Mr. Herbie Hancock.
Big change.
Now, for those of you that are sort of semi-familiar with Herbie Hancock, they might know him from his 80s big hit Rocket. They may know him as Jazz Pianist. They may even know him from his appearances on things like Sesame Street. But on a fundamental level, there are few people that have ever changed any form of music more than Herbie Hancock. An absolutely extraordinary musician, a complete virtuoso, played Carnegie Hall when he was just a kid, completely transformed the way that jazz voicing takes place, an incredible improviser, one of the smartest, most elegant, most kind, most remarkable people that has ever played any instrument. He truly is a showcase talent. And above almost everything, he's been constantly investigating and interrogating what music can be, completely open to everything from the deepest and most mathematical of jazz to straight up pop music, unafraid to take all kinds of chances, unafraid to work with musicians much younger than him, and as a younger musician, unafraid to work with people that were firmly established, whereupon he could still find his voice. Look, there are literally volumes and volumes and volumes written about what a tremendous talent Herbie Hancock is, but he's absolutely one of those people, like any great art, the closer you look, the more you get out of it. The more you understand what he's doing and the way he's voicing certain things, what he's drawing from, what he's able to do in terms of his appreciation of everything from the glory that is the acoustic piano to his fascination with synthesis, the people that he contributes with. He can play something that's absolutely straight up and beautifully melodic, or play something that's so outside that you basically have to be constantly doing some sort of musicological trigonometry to figure out where the actual original changes are. Just truly extraordinary. And somebody in his later years who's unafraid to simply realize that playing chameleon while swinging a guitar around after an evening of just unadulterated jazz, why not give the audience something that they can actually hold on to? Absolutely not a problem. A showcase talent. Just cannot say enough good things about Herbie Hancock. One of the pleasures of my life was actually got a chance to hang out with him. I'm not somebody who usually sort of vies for autographs and stuff like that, but I wanted to actually have a conversation with this man if I could. And so when I saw him, the one and only time that I've seen him, hopefully that'll come as live music comes back, I got a chance to spend, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes just sort of going on about stuff. And yeah, I wanted to have some sort of record. He was very gracious and had a photo taken, which you're seeing now. But he also signed some stuff. I didn't want to give one of his old records or even a new record. I wanted to give something that he played on that really affected my love of music. And so you can actually see here, these are the Mobile Fidelity releases of On the Corner, the absolute miracle of a record by Miles Davis, and even better than that, the Jack Johnson record. So we have Herbie signing, in part thanks to his collaboration with Miles. And what he did was he picked up the, I knew that he'd been handed Headhunters a million times to sign and stuff like that, but he just looked at this and he realized he literally said to me, like, I'm the last one left. And so it was this wonderful bittersweet. He told me just what incredible moments playing these sessions in the late 60s were. I actually have a whole slew of Herbie on digital media, but on vinyl, it's sort of been a little bit hit and miss. We're getting some amazing releases of late, but I spent a fortune getting River. I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan, as many of you know, and so this is him completely transforming many of Joni's most famous songs, like Dave Holland, Vinnie Colaiuta, Lionel Loueke, and Wayne Shorter. What a band. The vinyl release of this was never particularly amazing. It was a little bit noisy, but nonetheless, to have it this way was something that I really enjoyed. You have Herbie Hancock in the Headhunters, this sort of weird sort of a bootleg. I think it's some sort of European compilation live in Boston. I actually bought it in Boston, of all things. But I figured that if I'm going to steal a live record recordings, might as well do it that way. This is the big guy. This is the Analog Productions QRP pressed, 45 RPM, straight from the master tapes version of Headhunters, which I have loved for many, many years. And I thought, well, I'll never need another version of this. Who knew? I also have the 5.1 SACD on my digital, which is actually a phenomenal mix. It's really beautiful. So I can actually go 2-channel or 5.1. This is a record I also super love, the Imagine Project. He messes with pop again. Yes, he does the John Lennon song, his beautiful version of Don't Give Up, the Peter Gabriel. So doing what jazz musicians have always done, which is to take pop songs and then mess with them and improvise on top of them. That goes back to the very earliest of improvisational music that is the foundation of everything that we now call jazz. There's a couple others. This one in particular, Black Friday, Japanese pressing of the trio. It's great. Beautiful sort of mid-70s. There's a bunch of these that I'm sort of digging in this time. But in terms of vinyl, that's been basically sort of my what I've been listening to. Again, I have many of the digital files, the 24-192 FLACs and stuff like that. Which meant that when Vinyl Me Please decided that they're going to announce their latest anthology was going to be a Herbie Hancock anthology, I'm like, well, what the hell? I already have one of the records. There's a bunch of them that I've wanted for a long time on vinyl. I know there's other ways of getting them. There's other ways of getting beautiful audiophile recordings of them. But if there's a way that I could actually support Herbie, sort of contribute to the celebration of his life and his remarkable career, I really like what VMP has done in terms of their podcasts and all that stuff to sort of bring more out of these records. I decided, what the hell? So I would buy it. So, yeah. What do you think? Here we go. Here is the Herbie Hancock box set. Now, if you look on the side, it's quite fun. They actually have the tape with his, the story of Herbie Hancock with a little bit of his signature like there. This is the shipping box, handle with care, as it were. A little bit on the back. Let's crack it open, shall we? So inside here, as I carefully open it up, will be a selection, thanks to our friends at VMP, personally selected by Herbie Hancock. So there's all kinds of records that I might have preferred to be included in this sort of anthology, as it were. But I'm not going to argue with Herbie. It's what he wanted to actually use to celebrate it. So this collection in itself is something that he actually would want us to celebrate. You can see inside, packed in nice foam, we have the story of Herbie Hancock. Nice little card. We have on the back those episodes, the podcast episodes, 4 of them. You get to scan the code and just actually listen to it. I really love if we're actually able to download those, because so often when it comes to this kind of digital stuff, it goes away. I'll give you a good example, the Neil Young Archives, beautiful Blu-ray box set, and the BD extras no longer work. I love when they actually do this interactivity stuff. I love it when they actually allow us to actually collect it for ourselves. We're paying for the privilege after all. So inside here, we got this big thing. Here's the main set. Giant blue box on the side. You can see peeking out piano and VMP. I am number 130 of 1500 handwritten on the bottom here. Just, I guess, was a pretty good number. I got some sort of weird holographic sticker, as one does. VMP likes to throw stickers in here. And so now I'm going to carefully slice this open and keep as much of the outer wrap as I can. Again, because I'm crazy. And now let's slide this open. So again, it's not light, 8 records, 8 titles. So inside the box, what do we have here? we have again the man in his hands. Herbie's got much to say about those hands. I should point out the VMP actually has his hands. I should have brought it for this video, but nonetheless, as part of their classics selection, some of my Herbies actually located there, not my Herbie Hancock selection. This is what happens when you put all the VMP by themselves. Anyway, let's see what we actually have in here. First of all, we have a book. I would have loved for this to have been hardbacked, but nonetheless, with a bunch of old photographs. And then we're going to see each record played out. The first one, Taking Off, Herbie Hancock with Freddie Hubbard, Dexter Gordon, Herbie, of course, Butch Warren, and Billy Higgins on drums. A Blue Note recording, Blue Note ST 84109. You can see this actually pressed here, foil stamped with a VMP. Now, the deal with this is that it was plated. It was mastered by Bernie Grunman. It was plated at RTI, but then they took the plates and schlepped them over to the Czech Republic to actually be released. So it's actually taken a long time for us to actually get these records. Now, I'm not going to debate about whether or not the most important factor is whether it's plated at a certain location versus being pressed, but given how long it's actually taken for them to release this, I'm really hoping that I'm going to get nice, quiet vinyl that does justice to these records. Just looking at them right now, beautiful Blue Note. And right here, look at that. Some schmutz out of the box. This is what happens sometimes when you get brand new records. Even then, you have a little bit of schmutz, but there's no actual markings or anything like that, as I'm getting one of my hairs on it. That will go immediately into the degritter. There is a little bit of marking on the record that I'm hoping is just a little bit of hair, but that'll come out in time. Welcome to buying records, man. So much easier with digital, and yet there's something so incredibly satisfying about actually dealing with it this way. So this is going to be plopped right into the gritter, as I do with all new records. Beautiful Stoughton tip-on, cardboard jackets. The artwork looks fantastic right from the opening. And here we have a record, Taking Off, which I've only listened to briefly. Look how young he looks. Look at, remarkable. And this is, again, the original Watermelon Man that Mongo Santa Maria went on to get a big hit off of. And Watermelon Man is on this, and of course the other version that's on Headhunters that is also, spoiler, part of this set. Next record, his first true mega seller, Blue Note ST 84195, Freddie Hubbard, George Coleman, Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Anthony Williams on Maiden Voyage. This has been released many, many, many times as well, including 45 RPM versions. I've just never had it as part of my collection, so I'm really looking forward to having it. Now, let's just look at this just for giggles. No white schmutz, which is nice. But yeah, nice, clean, flat pressing. I think we're doing okay with these. So digging into Maiden Voyage, what a beautiful record. Just absolutely astonishing performances. Completely transformative. Ron Carter's playing is so good. But just what Herbie manages to do in seemingly effortless ways is just bring us into this very dense music with this unabashed melodicism. It's just absolutely stunning. Unsurprising. Headhunters. Now, again, this will be a single 33. It's got Chameleon on it. It's got the other Watermelon Man, obviously. Just a definitive record. One of the top selling jazz records of all time, and one of the top records, period, of all time. We will see about how it plays differently than the analog productions. My understanding is that this is also an all analog press, not split into 33. So we'll see what the difference is. Nonetheless, it would be difficult to have this anthology without including this record, just like Maiden Voyage. I know many people are like, why do I need another copy of Maiden Voyage? Well, I'm really happy. I now have a copy of Maiden Voyage, and who knows, maybe I'll be an idiot and buy the 45 RPM as well, just to have the difference, just to see how this actually works out. Now we start getting into some of the more esoteric ones, slightly more esoteric anyway. So here we have Live Under the Sky, the VSOP record. This one is really interesting. Part of his 70s live session. Just cannot wait to actually dig into this. Really, really looking forward to. Beautiful Obi strip, fully intact. 2-record set. The named after a cognac. What's not to love about it? Then we have this. This is super interesting, actually. This is one of his direct disc pressings that they did back in the day. Again, replicating the Japanese, a very, very hard to find record for many reasons. The piano opens with a cover of My Funny Valentine, rather. Someday My Prince Will Come. Just absolute fundamental jazz standards. And again, when you hear what Herbie does to them, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Now we have something that I've actually really wanted for a long time, because this truly was my introduction. As crazy it was, Herbie Hancock for me was the guy that did the weird rocket thing with the video. I'm that age. And it's just like Stevie Wonder was the guy who sang I Just Called to Say I Love You. And it was only by going backwards after the fact and actually realizing the sort of legacy that these artists had that allowed me. This pop, hip-hop thing is what led me backwards into his remarkable jazz career and forwards into the many of the things that he did subsequently. Again, beautiful cover, just absolutely immaculate Stoughton tip-on. And the vinyl just, again, with one of these plastic with paper on the outside, totally happy with that. I'll probably replace it with a MoFi sleeve, but that's for later. Again, a collaborator with such a magnificent talent. If Herbie Hancock is one of the greatest musicians who have ever lived, pretty close, as along with somebody like Wayne Shorter, going back to the Miles days. Absolutely incredible horn player. I, as a former recovering saxophonist, just incredible tone, incredible musicianship. Here's his 1+1 that he did with Shorter. So it's basically Herbie on acoustic and Shorter on soprano sax. Just the two of them. Absolutely stunning. Cannot wait to dig into this. Super excited. And again, something very far from the sort of run-of-the-mill regular expectations of what Herbie would include. I love it. And then finally, Herbie and the River. I cannot wait to listen to this record. I'm really hoping they did it justice. Yes, it's digitally recorded, but this is the one that they kept saying that they kept having to send back because they were not happy with the end results. I really hope that means that this thing sounds stunning. It's a very incredibly dynamic recording. So this stuff, what you can get away with, you can get away with murder on digital. As long as it doesn't go over 0 dB, you're golden. Basically, in terms of mastering, it's just whether or not you actually want to deal with that much dynamic range to frustrate the consumer or not. When it comes to vinyl, there's physical limitations, what the actual cartridge will actually do, how the grooves actually behave. This would have been amazing to actually get on 45 RPM and give it even more space than it probably would have been a 3-record set. But nonetheless, look, you got incredible duets. Court and Spark with Norah Jones, Ethan Kingpin with Tina Turner, beautiful. The Both Sides Now instrumental is just amazing. The Corinne Bailey Rae version of River, beautiful, beautiful. Sweetbird, Tea Leaf Prophecy with Joni. So Joni showing up and doing this Joni Mitchell, Larry Klein composition with Herbie, stunning. Solitude, Amelia with Luciana Souza. Nefertiti, instrumental with Wayne Shorter, so a little bit of Miles thrown in here. And then the Jungle Line featuring Leonard Cohen. This is incredible. Leonard Cohen and our man Herbie Hancock together. So the only weird one that they sort of messed up around with is this guy is basically has never been released before. There was another version of this live record, and Herbie messed around with the order and sort of made it his own record. And I have a feeling it's going to be great. I cannot wait to dig into it. So there we are, the Vinyl Me Please Herbie Hancock anthology, as I try to sort of put my hands where his hands are and never will quite fit it. Please go celebrate the music of this absolute legend. I hope if you aren't quite as crazy as me picking up this set, at the very least find some Herbie Hancock, dive into it. really open your ears to this absolutely amazing triumph legend. The adjectives come very freely, and we deal with hyperbole all the time when it comes to music, but truly, truly, truly one of the greatest artists of the 20th century, and one who's continued well into the 21st. He is absolutely a living legend and deserving of all the plaudits that he's received. He's received almost every award possible, but the fact that they sort of gave him a new opportunity to showcase, to give us what he thinks are sort of 8 definitive records for us to dive into, I cannot wait. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, follow us on social media, and we'll see you next video. All the best.